Alright, we are back. Today we are doing Metallica's 1991 self-titled album, better known as The Black Album. This is by far Metallica's biggest album, with songs like Enter Sandman, Sad But True, Nothing Else Matters, like tons of absolutely huge songs. Some of the biggest metal songs of all time land on this album. And I haven't heard it yet. I of course heard a couple songs on the album, like again, Enter Sandman, Sad But True, and Nothing Else Matters, but I have never actually listened to this full project. I have heard a couple of Metallica albums. I have heard Ride the Lightning, I have heard Master of Puppets, and I heard their new album, 72 Seasons. Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets are great. I thought their new album was fine. So I'm very interested to get into this one and see how it compares to those albums, because this one seems to be one that people either really love or they don't really like it, because this album, I guess, marked Metallica's transition out of thrash music more into, I guess, just a more straightforward metal style, and it was sort of the transition point into an era which fans don't really enjoy as much, where you get albums like, let me see here, you had Load and Reload, which people, I know fans don't really care for. Garage Inc. And after that, you had Saint Anger, which is, yeah, that one, that album is... I've not heard the full album, but I've heard plenty of songs off of the album, and it is rough. That album is rough. So this definitely marked the final album, the final like fan favorite album before things started to go downhill, I guess. I think I am just gonna get straight into this album, honestly. This thing came out in 1991. It is 12 songs, an hour and 2 minutes. Yeah, it's a long-ass album, so I am just gonna get straight into it. Track 1, a song I have already heard, a song you have already heard. One of, if not the biggest metal song of all time. Track 1, Enter Sandman. Incredibly recorded drums. I don't remember where I saw it, but I remember seeing something where, like, apparently in the studio that they were recording in, like, for this specific song, I think, they had, like, the roof of the studio raised by, like, what was it, like, 40 feet or something? They had the roof of the studio raised to, like, a ridiculous height so that they could get a better sound on, I'm pretty sure, the drums. And it was definitely worth it. These toms sound absolutely incredible at the start here. They are so good. Iconic riff. Oh wait, they got lyrics on Spotify now, I just realized. Whenever I like would listen to this song, they never had the lyrics on Spotify, and now they finally do, thank God. Yeah, instantly the best thing about this album is the recording of this. It's just absolutely incredible. The sound of this is amazing. Again, the drums in particular are just, they are recorded perfectly. It's so good. Dreams of war, dreams of lies, dreams of dragons, fire, and the things that will fade. Sleep with one eye open. That halftime is so good. Really solid guitar solo on this song, honestly. It's not as, like, incredible as, like, a lot of the solos on Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning, but it's still really good. love that fake out outro there. Listen, that is one of, if not the biggest metal song of all time. It is absolutely iconic. Everyone knows it. It has been played everywhere. It's in, like, every film ever. This song is absolutely iconic. And I think it lives up to it. I genuinely think that this is an absolutely perfect way to start this album off. The recording of this is fantastic. The pacing is immaculate. I like the switch in tone from the all-out thrash that was, like, present on their previous albums to a new, different style of metal, one that's a lot more slower, and I don't want to say intense, because their old stuff is still intense, but it's definitely a lot slower. And I think that, honestly, this is, like, just the best way this album could start off. It is genuinely the best way this album could start off. The lyrics are so interesting, like, talking about nightmares and stuff, and he's, like, meant to be Mr. Sandman, coming and, like, giving you, like, dreams in your sleep or whatever. Just the concept of this track itself is very interesting, especially when Metallica are doing it, and they tend to make songs on similar topics like this a lot. So it's executed very well in that regard as well. All in all, this song, it's like damn near perfect. It's so close to perfect. It's like a 9.8. It's so good. The song is a 10. I don't know why I didn't give it a 10 in the video, but yeah, the song is absolutely a 10, hands down. I have heard it plenty of times before. I learned this song for my drum lessons once. Like, I've heard this song so many times, and it still is just as impactful and as re-listenable now as the first time I had ever heard it. So, next track, another song I have already heard, Sad But True. I'm pretty sure I've heard this at least. Oh yeah, this is the song that Avenged Sevenfold ripped off. Hold on a sec. This is the song that, Avenged Sevenfold, they like, completely ripped this song off, didn't they? This Means War, that's it. Blatant rip-off. Just straight up completely stolen. It's, like, practically the same. There is minor difference. I can't stand Avenged Sevenfold, I'm not gonna lie, that stuff kinda ass. It's the exact same. It's the exact same. Yeah, the thing that makes this so much better than when Avenged Sevenfold do this is that the band are much more, like, locked in, and they are much tighter. The production is much more interesting. The recording is incredible. And James Hetfield is miles better of a vocalist than the guy from Avenged Sevenfold. Like, listening to the two songs, they're practically the same song, but the level of quality is, like, completely different. Oh my god, dude. You know, I've never listened to this song with a good pair of headphones. I've only ever heard this song on, like cheap earbuds and through, like, really bad speakers. Listening to this song with, like, an actual decent pair of headphones, it's amazing. Just, I know I've already spoken about it so much, but the recording of this is absolutely incredible. Like, I would put this on the same level as the sound of, like, Master of Puppets, honestly. It's so good. Oh my god, dude. You know, lots of people, they like to you know, make fun of Lars Ulrich because of his like because his drumming's like kind of mid and it's super basic for like metal music and stuff. I think he has really creative fills. Like the fills on this song have been like really cool so far, and even a lot of the stuff on Enter Sandman. There's a bit where he's like still keeping the eighth notes on the hi-hats, but he's like going around on the toms while he's doing it. It's stuff like that that makes me actually genuinely appreciate his drumming. Like as a drummer, he has like lots of cool parts, and while they are very simple, they like serve the songs perfectly, and he's still able to incorporate lots of cool elements into these songs. So like that's so cool. Nice. That song, like, I do have one problem with it, and it's that it's a little long. It definitely could have been shortened by maybe about a minute or two. Not a minute or two, probably by exactly a minute, like around there. 5.5 minutes just felt a little too long for that track. But besides that, this song is absolutely incredible. I've of course heard it before, but listening again with a decent pair of headphones, it like makes me appreciate it so much more. The freaking recording of this again, I know it's all I've been talking about, but it's so good. It like the sound of this is on par with the sound of like Master of Puppets, dude. Yeah, this song again, it's so iconic to the point where Avenged Sevenfold felt the need to do their own terrible version of it. You know what I'm saying? That's how good this song is. Like everything about this just comes together absolutely perfectly. All of the like the slow, intense build of the song, the way it just, I guess, is meant to be more menacing than it is, I guess. Where a lot of Metallica's older stuff is just meant to be like headbangy, insane, like absolutely wild, I guess, metal. This is meant to be more menacing and intense and something much more emotion based, which I find to be a really interesting direction to take their sound, and it's working really well here, honestly. I think this is absolutely incredible. I'll give this song a 9.5. Yeah, the much slower approach on this album so far has been really interesting. With I can't speak. With the album's hour-long runtime, it might get boring. That is the one thing I'm worried about. But as of right now, it's not boring in the slightest. I think it's working absolutely perfectly. Right, up next, another song I've already heard. I've had this one sent in on stream before. Next up, Holier Than Thou. Crocky's already got the lyrics ready to be recited in the chat. Yeah, I was talking about it being slower paced. This one's starting on 10. Getting a more energetic song is actually really nice. I think this is a great change of pace after the first two songs being much... well, Enter Sandman, it has its energetic moments, but for the most part, those first two songs are like definitely much slower than you're used to with Metallica. And then getting one that's more thrashy and more in your face here is like really nice. It's not who you are, it's who you know. All the sides of the basis of your own. Burn your bridges and build it back with will. God, that riff, Jesus Christ. This guitar solo sounds so much like the one on Enter Sandman. That sounds like so similar to the one on Enter Sandman. That bass tone is incredible. Nice. Yeah, I've already heard that song before. I've been sent it in on streams, but sent it in on streams on stream. Returning to it, it's still great. I like the way it's a more fast-paced song than the previous two. I like that it's more in your face and just, I guess, very similar to something that would have landed on one of their earlier albums, except, how do I put this? It also fits in context with this album, I guess. It sounds sonically consistent with the rest of the songs on here. That song is just another absolutely great example of why Metallica are hands down my favorite band from like the thrash era, because to their ability to go back and forth between the fast and the slow is so incredible. The writing is amazing. James Hetfield is probably the best vocalist out of like the thrash era as well. Like everything about this just comes together perfectly. I have like no complaints about that song. I feel another 9.8. It is so good. I don't really get why like certain people don't really mess with this album. I feel like this is a really interesting change of pace for the band. Who knows? Maybe this album like completely falls off towards the end, and that's why. But in these first three songs, this is like very intriguing and very enjoyable, and it's setting a good example for the rest of the album right now. So I'm very excited to get into the rest of it. Next track, we have The Unforgiven, which I think I've heard. It has like almost 500 million streams. I'm fairly certain I've heard this song. It's entirely possible that I haven't. I don't think I've heard this song before, I'm not gonna lie. I did not expect this, like a song like this on this album. It's so much more stripped back and so much more restrained than I was expecting. But I think that is what's kind of working about it. It's much more focused on the lyrics here than it is just the intense, heavy sound. And I think that is really, really intriguing. It's so different to anything I would expect. Stripping it even further back for the chorus there is honestly really cool. Okay. Acoustic guitar. Huh. An acoustic guitar is the last thing I would expect to hear on a Metallica album. Fade out, really? You really didn't need to end this with a fade out, come on. Regardless of how mid that fade out is, that song went hard, I'm not gonna lie. I like that it's more stripped back. It's even slower than the previous songs on the album so far. But I think that... I think it works, like, really, really well. Having a song that's more lyric-focused, that is much more stripped back, that's much more soft, that like, there's an acoustic guitar in this song. I would never expect that from a Metallica song. It works really well. Like, it doesn't feel tonally inconsistent with the rest of the album. It doesn't feel out of place in the slightest. It feels like a logical continuation of like the sound of this album. It is a little long, like 6.5 minutes. It could have been shortened, and the fade out kind of sucked. But besides that, this song works for me very well. I think it's still great. I'd give this one like a flat 9. I just really think it should not have been that long. Like, that song needed to be shortened. Anyway, up next we have Wherever I May Roam. I am certain I haven't heard this song. Audio glitching. Is it? There we go. It's working now. Cool. Okay. Wasn't expecting the double time there. That slower section there, like that first verse, I kind of wasn't crazy on it. I felt like coming after that really intense double time, it just suddenly stopping and then going into that slower verse, it didn't really feel like it worked very well. Like coming after that, at least. I feel like if we weren't shown the faster bit, if it just stayed at that same speed all the way through the first verse, and then as it goes into the chorus here, it goes into the double time, I think that would be better. Yeah, after it gets to that first chorus, the song just picks the hell up. Like, that first verse, genuinely, I think if the halftime, the double time before it wasn't there, I think that first verse would work a lot better. But then once the first chorus comes in, it just completely picks up. This guitar solo's kind of mid, I'm not gonna lie. Switching back to the toms is cool, though. Another fade out? Why? Man, why they got a fade out? It's like the world's longest fade out too. Okay. That was probably my least favorite song so far. For two main reasons. Reason number one, they messed up the pacing in the beginning. Had you not like had the double time bit in the beginning, had it just stayed at the same tempo in the beginning through the first verse, just remove that halftime bit, go through the first verse, and then have the double time come in at the chorus, that would have made it so much more, so much more exciting and impactful when you got into the chorus, and B, it wouldn't have completely butchered the flow at the track at the very beginning. And that also ties into my second big complaint, is that this song is also too long. That has been my biggest complaint about most of the songs so far, is that they are just too long and they feel like they could be tightened up. Like, especially when you have like that unnecessary double time moment in the beginning that could have been cut out, it makes it feel even more like this one could be shortened by maybe even 2 minutes. Honestly, like 6 minutes and 44, that is a long ass track length, and I feel like it just could have been tightened up, honestly. But that song, outside of those two things, is still really great. Maybe my favorite chorus on the album so far. That was absolutely insane. The outro was incredible, besides the fade out. Like, the whole outro section was absolutely amazing. The writing on this is like one of my favorite in terms of lyrical content. It's like, there's just so many interesting lines in here that stick out. One of the ones that caught my attention the most while I was listening, where is it? Right here, yeah, where I lay my head is home. That's the line that really ties the whole song together for me right there. Yeah, there's just loads of standout lines and interesting little statements throughout this track. That song's solid, but it's my least favorite so far. I'm feeling an 8.5 on that one. Alright, next song, track 6, definitely the last song of part 1, because I'm definitely going to make this a two-parter, because I've already been going for 50 minutes. Next song, Don't Tread on Me. Okay. Those stabs are really cool. This is the one so far that feels the most like a Master of Puppets song. Yeah, definitely. This one has reminded me a lot of Master of Puppets. Like, in a good way. It doesn't just feel like they're redoing something. It feels like on the same level of quality as that album. So be it. Settle the score. Touch me again with the words that you will hear evermore. What we so proudly hail. Once you provoke her. Rattling on our tail. Don't tread on me. Okay. That is the song I've had the least to say about so far. But it's not really for any, like, bad reasons. That is definitely the song that feels most like it could have fit right in on, like, Master of Puppets. I need to learn how to speak, and it doesn't feel like they're just rehashing that album on this song, though. It feels consistent with this album. It feels like it fits in here, but it also feels like it could have fit right in on Master of Puppets. This one is like the most difficult to speak about because it just feels like just a generic Metallica song, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means I don't really have too much to say about it. I think it's very well paced. It's like only 4 minutes. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's got a really great riff. James Hetfield is great as always. This is a solid track, just not one I have much to say about. Give this one like a flat 9, I think. It's still on like that Metallica level of quality, but I just don't really... It's just not really the most unique song on the album, I guess. And that is going to do it for part 1 of the Black Album. I was a little nervous going into this thing. Like, from what I heard, this was the beginning of the downfall of this band. And there are some Metallica fans that don't really like this one. But, honestly, the first half of this album, I think, is, like, super solid. Like, there's not been a bad song so far. Like, every single song has been memorable and super enjoyable. The pacing, it is a little slow, but besides that, I feel like this thing is, like, just as notable and just as memorable as something like Master of Puppets or Ride the Lightning. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the first half of this album. Let me know what you think of the first half of this album down below in the comments. Let me know what other albums you want me to listen to in the future. Make sure you smash like and sub. Our goal is 1,000 subs, hopefully by September. You can join the Discord if you want to interact with the community and speak to me on there. You can talk about like music and movies and stuff on there. And yeah, I will see you all in part 2. Goodbye.